right, I think we have a quorum, don't we?
You got 9, right?
Yeah, at least.
You have a quorum, Craig.
All right, thanks, Donna.
You're welcome. Did you get my text?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we singing? What are we doing?
It's up to you. That's your call.
All right. Well, I think has Facebook Live started, Chanel?
Yes, Craig. We start at 10 a.m. Just bear with me for a second. The board bucket seems to be frozen, so once the minutes come up, I guess, or if you wanted to start the meeting, that's fine. But we need to get those books packed up.
Why don't we go ahead and
I haven't been able to open it either.
I just the agenda's here.
Yeah, but when you click on the item, they're not open.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, we're good. Yeah, yeah.
while you're working through that, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and get through some of these other initial items that does still need the full board book. Okay, so let's call the order. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America.
and to the republic
For which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
justice.
justice for all.
Okay, we're going to move hearings from citizens to the end. If we get any more emails from that, we had one, but we'll see if we get some more. One point of order I do want to raise is that a day early, tomorrow is Daryl Haley's birthday.
Woo! Happy birthday, Daryl.
Happy birthday.
Whoever told that's in trouble.
Well, I guess you'll never know, right? But happy birthday. It's been an interesting year and going to be a very interesting one going forward. So thank you for all the hard work you've done.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully you get a little bit of time to enjoy it tomorrow. So chairman update. Hopefully everyone heard that issue 7 passed last week. After years of effort by this group and 50 years of effort by folks before us that laid all the foundation, really a historic time for the county to have a countywide funding mechanism for what is and hopefully will be more of a countywide system. And we're excited about what those additional funds can provide. And I think thanks to all of you, thanks to the campaign team that we know did a great job, to the broad bipartisan coalition of elected officials, mayor, city council, commissioners, representative sites, really a long list of folks that we appreciate all the hard work there. The chamber, the business community, certainly huge support, health and human services organizations. So such a broad group, including our riders who made their voices heard, and we really appreciate all that they've done. And, and our operators and the staff at SORTA that really have shown that the service can really provide great things, I think even more so of late. And so really excited that the community is recognizing the value of transportation to get us, let people get to jobs, healthcare, education, entertainment, work and worship. So thrilled for that opportunity. Can't tell if I thought some people wanted to maybe make a comment, but broadly, I think the hard work starts now, though, right? I know it's hard to get to here, but now we need to make sure we live up to the promises and the commitments that we've made. And so looking forward to working with all of you to do that, right? Certainly the challenge that we have of doing so during the global pandemic will make things a little interesting. I think we have to recognize that this may end up delaying things a little bit, right? The funding sources are probably not going to be quite as robust in the short run, but certainly this is a long-term plan. So looking forward to delivering on the commitments that we've made. Short run, we are working through what the finances will look like over the next, foreseeable portion, the next year or so. Hard to know for sure. We know sales receipts are down, so that may affect us in the short run. But at the same time, looking at what that means for the Reinventing Metro plan, look forward to working with this group to talk about that. Continuing community engagement and dialogue to make sure that we're working with folks and the plan can adjust as necessary. So, Rod, look forward to getting the community engagement committee back going and looking forward to making that happen. We're also obviously in dialogue with the city and county as the board will transition. Governance will transition will have some impact on how we operate. I know that the commissioners are working on a proposal for how the board will be structured and when, so looking forward to that. Obviously, we have the new components around infrastructure. So really continue to work with the integrated committee who owns that process. And, some proposals have been made to them based on what they already have. I've asked Thaddeus to help work with that, and we'll put a couple other folks from the city representatives onto that team to make sure that we have that process worked out well in advance of collecting any sales tax revenue. So an exciting new day for us, and looking forward to moving ahead. Any comments from other board members?
Craig, I've got one question just for clarity. When does the earnings tax reduction start, since that's approved?
Sure. So that'll be Michelle's presentation as well. So the earnings tax is through the end of September, and then the sales tax kicks off as soon as the earnings tax goes away.
Okay.
Michelle, I'm off by a day there, but effectively that's that process.
Yeah.
Okay. If no other comments, let's get to the action items here. So, first action item is the approval of the board minutes from April 21st, 2020. Hopefully, folks have had a chance to look at that. I am open to a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right. Properly moved and seconded. Any questions after reviewing the minutes? Chanel?
Okay, Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman? Mr. Freeman? Mr. Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Tweed? Mr. Etheridge? Mr. McClendon?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Barnett?
Yes.
Okay, minutes accepted. Why don't we go to the Finance Committee, Heidi?
Good morning, everybody. We had a busy Finance Committee meeting last week. Really just looking at the fuel hedging report for the first quarter, as well as updates on the progress around our internal audit items, looking at financial reports, all of the fun things that we get to do in finance. This morning, we have two items on the consent agenda. The first one, sorry, I'm looking at this on my phone, is a resolution for approval to file 2021 grant applications. Basically, every year, in order to comply with the federal grant process, the board has to sign off on approval. and designate, I believe it's Daryl and Michelle, to be able to sign off on loan applications. Michelle, am I missing any important detail on that?
No, you're not missing anything at all.
Okay, thanks. So that is the first item on the consent agenda. The second item is the approval of I'm going to mispronounce the name, the Ascentus Corporation contract around timekeeping. So, yeah, employee timekeeping. This is a contract we've had and continue to. So this is just a continuation of that. Michelle, is there anything you want to add around that contract?
No, this is a continuation of the existing contract and includes an upgrade to our system with bringing on access. There was a lot of additional pay codes that we had to utilize, so just put more demand onto the product that we were using.
So those are the two items on the consent agenda. I would love to entertain a motion to pass those.
I so moved. A second.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, motion properly moved to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Okay, Chanel.
Okay, Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mrs. Barnett,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Chanel, it's kind of hard to hear you this morning.
okay, is this a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. McWinton,
Yes.
Mr. Cassady,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffmeister,
Yes.
Mr. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman, Mr. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Heidi, anything else from finance?
No, nothing else. We did review the fiscal year 21 city financial request, and Michelle, I know, is going to share that as a briefing item because we reviewed it before we found out about the levy, and so kudos to her for changing everything that she presented because it's the levy, which is probably the best problem we've had in a while. So she'll share that update during the briefing.
Okay, thanks. And I think it's you mentioned the hedging briefly, and we hedge to ensure we get certainty in our budgets, and so I know we lost some opportunity when oil went negative, but we're hedged out well now, and it's that'll be a cost savings versus prior years for the next couple. So I think that's broadly good news, although sometimes Brendan, planning and ops.
Thank you, Chairman. We had a great Planning and Operations Committee meeting with wonderful briefing items from John. Did his usual good news, which is terrific. I encourage you to take a look at the planning minutes and packet so that you can review the good news items that he always presents. An effective ridership report that went through what's been going on since the pandemic. We had two items on a consent agenda. Both of them are park and ride leases, so fairly self-explanatory. One is at Hilltop Plaza, and one is at a Sam's Club in Cheviot, I think. And so both of those are on a consent agenda to be approved. So that would be my report, and would entertain a motion for the item on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, motion properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Okay, now.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman, Mr. Hinton,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffmeister,
Yes.
Mr. Kasim,
Yes.
Mr. McGlindy,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Ms. Lynette.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Brenda, anything else from planning and ops?
No, that was all we had. Thank you.
All right, well, we look forward to getting you all busy with the reinventing Metro implementation. Next item is the review of financial reports for April 2020.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Behind tab 6, you'll find the financial report for the 3 months ending April 30th, 2020. Total revenue of $6 million was unfavorable to budget by $2,285,000, or 27.7%. Total expense of $7.5 million was favorable to budget by $1,123,000, or 13%. Deficit for the month before using prior year surplus to balance was $1,583,000. Prior year surplus of $1,583,000 was used to balance the operating results in April. Total operating results before reserves were unfavorable by $1,162,000, or 276% for the month, and unfavorable $1,060,000, or 63% year to date. The most significant factors driving the results for April were fair revenue was unfavorable to budget by $1,049,000. Metro Fair revenue was unfavorable to budget by $969,000 as a result of a 59.2% fixed route regular ridership decline directly related to COVID-19. Non-transportation revenue was unfavorable to budget by $112,000, or 70%, primarily due to the investment income and advertising income. CPS contract revenue was unfavorable to budget by $856,000, or 100%, due to the school closures as of March 17th. Our federal subsidies was unfavorable to budget by $202,000, or 19.3%, as a result of the reduced miles driven on school and regular bus routes. Employee wages and benefits were favorable to budget by $781,000, or 11.6%, primarily due to favorable operator and maintenance wages. And fuel and lubricants were favorable to budget by $159,000, or 32.5%, primarily due to lower fuel costs for reduced miles. And those are the financials for the month ending April 30th, 2020. Anybody have any questions?
No, and I think I guess the only question: this included full fare charges and limited service with admission backs?
Yes.
So as we keep looking at this, we'll have to think about things that could change going forward. So this is not necessarily a representative month yet for what full service would look like.
That's correct.
Okay, then if there's no questions, why don't you move to the request for the budget for the portion of the year that will be covered through the earnings tab.
Great. Thank you, Craig. As Heidi mentioned earlier, at the Finance Committee last Tuesday, we presented the city funding budget request for the entire city fiscal year, which is from July 1st to June 30th. This was presented as an action item because we were uncertain of the outcome of the levy at that time. On Thursday, when the election results were final and we knew that the levy had in fact passed, we updated the presentation to reflect only the first 3 months of the city fiscal year 2021, which would be from July 1st through September 30th of 2020. We changed this to a briefing item from an action item because the SORTA board already approved the SORTA 2020 calendar year budget and funding request back at the November 2019 board meeting. So with that, the assumptions for this funding request, we're going to go through the agenda, which is the fare and contract revenue assumptions, non-fare revenue, operating expenses. Then we'll go through the projected operating statement for the city's fiscal year 2021 first quarter, which is July through September. And then we'll provide an update on the levy. Looking at the fare and contract revenue, the assumptions we made for this purpose was that regular service for all routes would be back in place by July 1st. There was no service cuts, no fare increases. The first quarter fixed route ridership would be down 34% compared to pre-pandemic ridership, and full service for the CPS routes will be back in place in August. We also assume that first quarter paratransit ridership will be down 38% compared to pre-pandemic ridership. For non-fare revenue, we assume the transit fund revenue provided by the city through this first quarter. No prior year surplus is available. The investment income is adjusted lower with a lower interest rate and our lower cash balance, and that we'd be using the CARES Act funds to balance. Operating expenses, we're assuming that COVID-19 expenditures will continue to be incurred. So this is what the projected statement of operations will be for the first quarter of the city. Total fare revenue would be $2,531,663. Total revenue would be $24,769,886, which includes requesting the transit fund from the city of $16,570,409. Our total expenses are $25,696,500. Before the deficit, before the CARES Act, we'd have $2,483,125, and we'd be using the CARES Act funds to balance the budget for that quarter. Since then, issue 7 has passed. The transit fund revenue is provided by the city through the third quarter. The sales tax will take effect on October 1st. The city earnings tax ends on October 2nd. We're working with the county to get revised sales tax projections due to the COVID-19 impact. This will relay into our timing of cash flows. The city funding payments that we currently received are received monthly and monthly in arrears. The last one will be for September 2020. We will have a true-up payment during that time too. If there's any excess funds in the city transit account, we'll be requesting that. County sales tax will be received monthly, but it's 3 months in arrears, starting in January 2021. So in January, we'll receive the tax receipts for October of 2020. And SORTA will not receive any funding from either source for about 2 to 3 months in between. And at this point, I'll hand it over.
So to be clear,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the sales tax will be collected. The sales tax will be collected at that time. We just don't see the dollars.
Correct. That's correct.
We'll see the first sales tax dollars in January.
Michelle, what is your flexibility with kind of a best case, worst case, in between scenario for this budget? Some of these assumptions are based on things that are out of you guys' control. I'm just wondering what kind of flexibility you have with the budget with that understanding.
It's a great question, Rod. With regards to that, especially the ridership, there's still a lot of uncertainty as to how much everybody will be going back to full, as far as full service ridership. Is everybody coming back downtown yet? So we have a lot of assumptions in there. Is CPS coming back? So with the flexibility, the one factor we do have the ability to request the CARES Funding Act, funds that are available to us. So we will be requesting those funds as needed. One of the other things we've been working on too is working with our banking partners to explore a short-term line of credit in the event that we need to bridge that funding gap for a couple of months.
I assume we could potentially have a loan, right? Or we could have a line of credit with someone.
Right. So we would work with our banking partners to put a line of credit in place. And if we decided to explore that option, we'd be bringing that to the board for approval.
Okay, great.
And were you guys eligible for the PPP at all?
We are not.
We did receive some CARES Act money.
Correct.
So it's different than the PPP. I don't know if Daryl, you want to describe that a little bit.
So the piece of it where an employee, if they have to stay home and take care of a child, or if they have to take care of a person that's at risk, we have to actually pay those wages. The way the government is reimbursing the organizations, they're reimbursing them through a Social Security tax. We don't pay into Social Security, so we're obligated to make those payments. We just don't get reimbursed for them.
Michelle, what's our total amount we can ask for from CARES, and what flexibility do we have past July with that?
We can request, it's just a little under 33 million in CARES funds that's going to be available to us. And we can request funds for any operating expenses that go back as far as January. And they have not put a deadline in place yet as to how long we can pull those funds forward.
Those funds can be used for operating only. They cannot be used for revenue replacement. Okay, I'm going to go into a little bit of what's next for us. You know, now that our levy has passed, Craig has touched base on a lot of these. One of the things we'll do is we'll begin to go back out to the community again this summer and this fall, as soon as we're able to go out and start having public meetings again, to again reiterate to the public what Reinventing Metro is and getting their feedback. We're currently talking to the businesses about what their transportation needs are in the future, as well as how soon they plan to reopen, as we really begin to dig into when we go back to full service. We've been working with the social service agencies. We've been having conversations with them. We have another meeting this week to talk about moving forward and what their needs are and how do we certify people and move forward with that. Our Rider Advisory Committee has come back into effect, and we'll be talking to our Rider Advisory Committee about rolling out the Reinventing Metro plan as well. Here is the next slide is just a list of things that we've talked about several
Hey, Daryl.
times. Yes.
Daryl, just talking with businesses regarding their transportation needs, that's both the return to the office and sort of more broad?
Yes, it's the immediate need, meaning when are they returning now? Because we're in the conversation of when do we bring back our express routes? When do we bring back, our normal weekday service based on our ridership, based on our load factors? So we actually started reaching out to the businesses ahead of time to see what their plans are, of when they're planning on reopening, when they're planning on having people back in the offices again, so we can make sure that we're a little bit ahead of the curve on when people come back. But we're also talking to them about their long-term needs as well.
So
Daryl.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Craig.
Leveraging organizations like Beaver that have already all the sort of conversations going, so that we don't, so make sure we reach out to as many as possible.
Yes.
That was going to be my question. What companies are you working with? Is it just the ones that you've mainly been working with over the past? And is it a possibility to connect with Brendan for the restart task force with all the different companies that are being involved in that might help span that scope out to be able to get more businesses involved in those conversations?
So our long-term plan is to reach out to Brendan and his group to actually get in front of some of those businesses, to be a part of the conversations that they have, to talk about long-term what those businesses' needs are. That is part of the plan.
Yeah, and I would just say that the Chamber's Transportation Business Coalition, was not created just to do the levy and to work with the coalition that ended up getting built. It was established to be a long-term strategic effort to make sure that we're building a robust transportation network across our entire region. So that group will continue. In fact, I'm excited about where that will go in terms of being able to partner with both Metro and Tank and other organizations in our region as we grow our system.
And there's a lot to talk about. There are things like pre-tax transit that we'd also like to get in front of that group and talk about, because there's some benefits to the businesses as well with transit. So we want to have all of those conversations. The next slide. These are things that you all have seen. Each year through 2026, we'll be adding crosstown routes, more frequent service, 24-hour service on several routes, circulator routes, extension of express routes, new service to the emerging job centers, Blue Ash, Sharonville, bus rapid transit, depending upon the community engagement, what our community tells us, and all the other things that are involved with the Reinventing Metro plan. And then, of course, we have to work in the impact of the sales tax revenue due to the COVID-19 impact, understand how that will affect our rollout of the Reinventing Metro plan. It's time to start working on things like our fare simplification. And our idea is one fare for each type of service, one fare for local routes, a separate fare for express service, and then one fare for all three of our county services, Warren County, Butler County, and Claremont County. It's time for us to begin our recruitment for our operators, maintenance, and additional support staff to prepare for the additional service that we'll be putting on the street. Next slide. And then, of course, the infrastructure piece, the transit-related infrastructure. We'll be working with the county integrating committee. They own the process. They own the approvals. We have sent them draft criteria, which pretty much mirrors what they have already with adding in the transit piece. We're reviewing the staffing for the grant applications and scoring. So we'll finalize that here in the next few months. And that's what's next for Reinventing Metro.
Daryl, will your team and John be putting together a kind of a strategic plan that outlines timing and tactics for how all of these things will be accomplished?
We definitely will, with community input, yes.
Daryl, and it probably also makes sense. Much of our plan was based off of the AECOM report from a couple of years ago. I don't know what is the intent to have them or somebody else engaged from a consultant process or from a kind of a planning process as we build this out. Are we done with them, or do we bring them back in to do a revisit of pieces that have changed in the last 2 years or whatever?
Yeah, the plan is to bring them back in to review any changes and updates, and of course, we're going to get community engagement going again, so that once the community feedback, we'll work that all into the plan to make sure it is exactly what the community needs.
And I think we can already take that, the plan already had which routes and when service would expand, when frequency would expand, so we can start there, but obviously have to look at the impact of the financials.
Absolutely.
And operators and buses and things like that.
And it also might be worth, just I don't know what's going to happen to other markets and other, look, we're fortunate. I feel like this meeting is a little bit of a, we should all be together and we should be celebrating. And there are people who I think are watching on Facebook Live who should be publicly thanked, and we should be applauding them, whether they led the Grassroots Coalition or whether they raised money or whether they helped yard signs. There's too many people to name, and I know they're watching, and they had a huge impact in all of this. And so it feels a little funny to be on this conference call like this when we're celebrating something that this agency has worked on for literally 49 years. This is a little bit of a downer, just to be to be honest with you. But the ability for our organization to be able to build and grow in this moment puts us on the map with a few systems across the country. Many systems, as a result of this pandemic, are going to face unbelievable shortfalls that will jeopardize their current services, and that's a tragedy for public transit advocates across the country. We're going to be in a much better situation in the long run because our community chose to invest in our system in this moment. And so it's probably worth us just as, keeping an eye on the national landscape of what's going on when it comes to transit, because there might be opportunities for us if there are, agencies who choose to decommission buses, and, maybe we can pick up some assets that can help us implement our plan more quickly and serve more customers. Those are all things that can be on the table for us as an organization. So I just know that this moment in time that we are in is such an unusual just an unusual thing for us all to consider. But for our agency, to be able to grow our services right now when people need us most is a huge success and a huge opportunity for this entire region. So I just want to make sure that we're appropriately thinking about it from a landscape perspective, and then also appropriately celebrating amongst ourselves that this is a great thing.
And Brendan, I'd like to add, kudos to you guys and to everything you did to get this passed. I know labor was very involved, Troy was very involved, and you're right. This is a unique opportunity. We can't miss out on this because it passed very narrowly, but I think this is an opportunity for us to build trust with the community. Especially if we want to expand the transit system, we want to reach the jobs, we want to reach the suburbs, and really become an interconnected system that Todd Platoon always promoted it to be. So, you're right. We've waited 49 years to kind of make this next step. But, I think we should be bold. I think we should be cautious. But this is an opportunity for us to really make this a truly regional transit system like we all know we've seen in other cities. So, thank you all.
We're really looking forward to it. And for Metro on the Move, we just want to spotlight our operators who are heroes, who are out there every day on the front lines, providing that service so the people that need to get to their jobs, that need to get to the hospital, that we're out there making sure that they can. Here's a service update. On May the 8th, we added service back to the Route 16, the 32, the 43, and the 51. And we continue on a daily basis to look at our load factors. We continue on a daily basis to watch our ridership to see when we need to add more service back. We have done, I believe, an excellent job in keeping our employees in the community safe. We continue to spray all of our buses. We continue to offer PPEs for all of our employees. Another thing that we've done, there's a marketing update. We partnered with CPS and the City of Cincinnati project where we're actually taking some buses out with Wi-Fi on them so that some students that don't have Wi-Fi can have access to Wi-Fi to do their homework and download some of their homework in different areas of the community. Also, we're parking them in places like libraries and things so people can have an opportunity to get on and do the census as well, because we understand how important the census is. So that'll be free Wi-Fi 4 hours a day for about a week, and depending on the usage of it, we can extend that as well. The other thing I want to do is I just want to take a moment to thank each one of you. We've talked earlier about how many people were involved in helping get this levy passed. I know this board worked tirelessly to make sure all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, and all the things fell in place to make sure we were able to be successful into putting a better transit system ahead for our community. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank from the staff to the board. Thank you all very much for the hard work, and I mean hard work, that you guys have put in over the course of the last years. Thank you very much.
Daryl, quick question for you, kind of a two-parter. One, the Healthy Years team, the operators particularly, are they doing well, and the morale of your team?
Everyone is doing well here. We had the challenge over at Access a month and a half, 2 months ago. We have not had any operators, knock on wood, test positive. We've had no real issues. We continue to go above and beyond to make sure that all of our operators have PPEs, that we are really, really cleaning the bus and spraying the bus with the solution that kills the virus for 2 days. We've had no real issues on the fixed route side, and we're real proud of that.
How are the barriers working?
The barriers are working great. We've had no recent issues with the barriers. Of course, we had the hiccup when we first started. The second generation of those barriers worked out really well. We are right now into our third generation of those barriers, which are actually even better than the second generation. The glass is much clearer. They'll be able to keep them closed and still have the safety of looking out past the barriers to outside. The first couple are actually on the road right now getting tested. The operators, the maintenance employees, we're all involved in what the third generation looks like. We are now, once the testing is done with that this week, we'll begin the installation of that next generation of barriers on all of our buses. So when we get ready to go back to full service, all of our buses will have barriers on them. It's been really, really successful. And we've had several other transit systems very interested. A couple have even asked if they can come down and see them because they're interested in doing something very similar.
I think the commercial or the ad is really sharp and so well done. You kept it rolling, and that was a good ad. I got a lot of kudos about that ad, and also got a call and a letter, and I'm going to share it with you, from the Evendale group who were proud of their express bus service. So I hope they all voted for it.
Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, and thank you for all the hard work, the staff, the operators, the mechanics, everybody, and continue to keep the operation going. We know it's critical for the community, and obviously the community's put some trust in us, and so glad we can repay that. So we had one public comment that came in via email, so I'll read that to the group. This is from Richard Nelson. It doesn't say that he's part of any organization, but here's what he has to say. I want to start off with something that really bothers me. There's some very rude bus drivers on the road. They are mean. They speed past you at the bus stop, and more importantly, some of them are talking on the phone. There was one day a bus driver passed my stop because he was on the phone, and let him know he got an attitude with me. Who is responsible for making sure bus drivers are being safe on the road? Question mark. Lastly, I want to thank the Better Bus Coalition for all their hard work to get issue 7 on the ballot and passed. Cam Hardy and his team put in the work and deserve most of the credit for this historic victory. How do we get Cam on the SORTA board? Anyway, thank you for reading this, and have a great day, Richard. So I know, we continue the training, and Daryl, I think we got to keep reinforcing the proper behaviors by operators. I think the vast majority do the right thing, but we got to make sure we're paying attention when we get off track. We have one other item, which is an executive session, but before then, I wanted to give Troy an opportunity to address the group, kind of from where the operators are.
Good morning. First of all, thanks for all the work in getting issue 7 passed. That's a lot of work getting it done. But let me explain to you where we are on the coming up with this hazard pay discussion I think you guys are going to go into. As you may be aware, AT International, we've lost 46 members. I believe it was 46 as of this week, members to COVID-19. TWU, I think, was over 80 members. And TWU is like a sister of the ATU. In the ATU, we've had over 1,000 members infected. So it's been a high number of infection comparable to the number of people who works there. And so the AT International has pushed, and we're asking for a hazard pay based on half pay of what an employee makes. That was something that the International has pushed, and we're asking for support in the discussion of this. As you guys heard in the report recently, just mentioned in the finance report, we're favorable of $700,000. That's because our operators and employees who actually do work make overtime lost all that funding. So that favorable was not there a month ago. Now it's favorable because it's being favorable because their employees are unable to work. Now, just to be clear, our executive board from the transit side has asked to go to full service. Over a month ago. Now, we've been rejected to that because there's more money you can get from CARES Act when the system is slowed down. So our issue today is we're asking for to be a fairness of funding to the employees that are out on the front lines, actually standing out there, working hard, protecting the service, and it's an issue they worry about all the time. So today I'm asking for your support on this. This is very important because we have had a high number of loss, and some of these are friends of ours. You know, some people I know from different conferences and different things I've been to over the years that we've lost. So it's been a tough time. So with that, I'd like to end, but I think this is, we went through numbers. I think Daryl might be giving you guys numbers today to go over the numbers, where we're at on it. So thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work for the issue 7. Got a lot of great work in the future to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you. Give our thanks to all the operators for all the hard work and the rest of the team.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will then move that we go into executive session under section 121.22G3. Conferences with an attorney for the public body involving the public body that are subject to pending or admitted court action, and section 121.22